This is Sarah,
Erin, Brianna,
and Joe. And thanks for popping by Meaning Fueled, where we take your problems of practice, your pops, and have a meaning-fueled discussion about where they come from and where do we go from there.
we are 4 longtime educators bringing our diverse experiences to the table.
We're harnessing all the energy of popping into your teacher bestie's classroom and bringing it straight to your ears.
Let's get poppin' with today's problem of practice.
All right, heavy one today, guys. But an ever-increasing problem in schools today is the general apathy of our students. There was always those 1 or 2 kids who just seemed to show up because they had to, and no matter what you tried, they just didn't seem to care. You worried if you were missing something or if something was going on outside of school that you didn't know about. And then 2020 happened. Mm-hmm. And now, instead of 1 or 2 apathetic students, your full classroom is them. It begs the question, have kids really changed? Are they really that different? Or do schools need to change more with how the world is changing? All right, we'll tackle one thing at a time.
Womp womp.
Do we think kids have changed since we started teaching? And
Yes.
if yes, okay.
Yes.
If yes, how are they different?
I mean, again, this is just like speaking from my experience. So, my truth, okay?
Yes.
But we've talked about before the propensity to be a little extra, to go above and beyond. Last week we tackled, working outside of the contract to make that all happen. And how a lot of times we found it was worth it, right? Mm-hmm. Kids' reactions, parents' reactions, because their kids came home and told them about what we did, made it all kind of worthwhile. And I can think of a number of slam dunk lessons, okay? These are like winners, okay? Year in, year out, you know that this is going to be one of those ones I'm going to get a couple pats on the back, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to get a couple parent emails that say, oh my gosh, they came home and they can't believe that you set up camping tents in the classroom and did a whole, science thing, right? You know.
And you
right?
look forward to doing
and
those
you look
every
forward
year because you
it.
know
The
you're going to
kids
get that.
love it.
Yeah.
You love it. The parents, it's just it feels like it's what elementary school should be. Mm-hmm. And one of the ones I used to do was, we had to teach Revolutionary War history. And so we would do this whole simulation where all of a sudden I would turn into the king and make all of these ridiculous rules that were sort of in, line with the actual acts that, had happened. So it'd be oh, well, we're going to have the Sugar and Tea Act now. So if you want to get a drink, and I had a classroom currency.
Yep.
And so then it'd be now I'm taxing them on it, which they were going to buy prizes, or whatever with their privileges with the currency, and now I'm taxing them. They wanted to go to the water fountain.
So
that was the Tea Act, right? And then I had these little miniature soldiers.
I loved them.
Mm-hmm. We did the quartering act, and if the soldiers wanted their chair, they had to sit on
That's
the
awesome.
floor.
That's awesome.
So they come back from lunch, and the soldiers would be on certain chairs in the room. We're talking slam dunk stuff. Kids hated it but loved it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And I'm here to tell you that, by the time I stepped out of the classroom, these lessons were falling completely flat. The energy, the enthusiasm that kids once had for them, completely gone. You'd still put in all this extra effort, do all this fun stuff. No, just as if, I don't know if expected is the right word, because it's not they expect it to be really cool, so they're not as excited. It wasn't even that. It was just they could care less. Mm-hmm. Not excited, not into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could be up there shooting fireworks out my asshole. And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so when I said yes emphatically, from my lived experience, kids have changed. Something has gone awry because things that used to be fun and engaging and bring joy, they now could care less about. And it was so draining as a teacher.
Yeah.
Nothing drained my battery more
Yeah.
than like, putting all of this in and getting nothing out. If you don't
Right.
put a lot in and you get nothing out,
That's one thing.
That's
But
one
you
thing.
put so much effort into wanting this to be such a good experience, and then it's like, ta-da! And the kids are like, nah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just that noise. Eh.
Yeah.
But like, I think we all have an experience like that. We did a mystery reading unit, and I kicked off the unit with like a mystery in our classroom. I hung caution tape everywhere.
Oh,
Things
crime
were
scene,
things
yeah.
were stolen from our classroom. I hid clues like throughout the entire school building.
Mm.
I coordinated with other teachers who like stole my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first couple of years, kids were like jazzed. They were so excited. They were like, we got to figure this out. And they're reading all the clues, and it was awesome. So I didn't mind that it took me 2 hours after school to set it up, and 2 weeks before that to like make sure everything was coordinated. But then like my last couple years teaching that unit, they were like, well, why are we doing this? And
Do
I
we
was like,
have to?
to solve the mystery. And they were like, but like, what do we get? And I was like, our classroom stuff back? And they were like, yeah, but like, what do we get? And I was like, ugh. Because that's another thing. Like
Yep.
the need for extrinsic rewards has just like grown.
You're not getting a
exponentially.
prize for solving the mystery. You're solving the mystery. That's the prize.
And like, sure, that was like a bigger thing. Yeah, we should get a prize for doing whatever. Sure. But then it became like, well, what do I get if I do my math? I was like, you get to learn the math. What do you
Yeah.
mean? Like, I cannot give you a sticker or a Costa Cash or a whatever for like doing the basics of school. It's insane. It's become insane.
It's turned into that. I mean, I
Yes.
have ones like we did explorers, and you go across and you find secret paths and you do that, and it was like you got to be the first one to cross the ocean the right way. Like,
Good job.
and woohoo! You got to be the first, and they were like, oh, that's it. And you're like, wait, what? But we're like outside. We're having fun.
Right.
We're doing something cool. You get to move around. We're not staring at a screen. We're not having you stare at worksheets.
Right. And they throw a textbook at your desk and make you read for 20 pages.
Right, and all of a sudden, it's like they'd almost rather do that, even though they don't do that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I know, at least from like a middle school lens, everything now has become like, is this graded? Is this graded? Well, how much is it worth? Is it worth that much of my grade? Is it weighted? Is it this? You're like, not everything that you learn has to be for a grade.
Right.
Not everything
That's
is
so
weighted.
sad.
Not everything is like teacher approved. Like I have to write a number on it. And if your number's not there, then you really don't care. Like
It's
that
crazy.
joy and that curiosity is just like kind of fallen by the wayside. But I'm going to be honest, especially in middle school, I see it socially too, though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's like wanting to connect and talk to people, and like they're like, nah, I think I'd just rather like be over here by myself. And I'm like, wait, what? So kids are like parallel working rather than like working together.
It's
we're
crazy
making
because like
that-
you see that with like babies, child development,
Yes,
where like
yeah.
they're like, well, they're still in parallel play where they're sitting next to each other and doing the same things, but like they're not interacting just yet. And it seems like that's just, we've never gotten out of parallel play. We're all building our own tower of blocks.
Which is like a certain amount of egocentrism.
yeah.
That like,
Oh yeah.
I used to like, again, like research wise, usually starts to fade around
Yeah.
like 7, 8 years old, right? Which is why I really enjoyed third grade, because like they start to become more aware of themselves in the larger world.
Right.
You can start to expose them to that a little bit more. It's less of that me kind of mentality. And again, like less and less fading of that, less and less, caring about their, place in the larger world, their place in the larger classroom community, school community, like, and you're teaching all these lessons around that. They used to bring like lots of like excitement because
Right.
they were starting to like wake up to
Right.
the world. And now it just,
they'd rather pop in their AirPods and walk
Well,
away.
of course.
Right.
Like it's really true.
Well, going back to what Erin said about like, we're outside, we're doing something fun. Kids don't really know how to have that
they do not.
fun anymore, or they also don't know how to be bored.
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely not.
So like there's an instant gratification for a lot of stuff right now. There's a lot of, they're on their iPad or they're getting that instant gratification. So it's really hard when they come to school and they're on the playground and they're like, I'm bored. And I'm like, go make up a game. Go find something to do. Go.
Or even like the 3 minutes that they have to wait for like a swing to open up.
Yes.
Because they can't have it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then there's more expectation to be able to opt in and opt out of things based on your preference. So if they don't want to do it, they don't necessarily have to, which again goes back to kind of like,
well, it makes them feel uncomfortable, Brianna.
but like in life,
Holding
you're
a
going to
pencil
be
is not for them.
But in life, you're going to be uncomfortable, and you have to learn how to be in those situations and be bored and be uncomfortable.
And your perception is not always reality.
Correct.
Like, unless you like, it's the age old. Like if you don't really try it, you don't know. Like
we talk about that
you know,
all
like,
the time.
if it's going to be fun or not. And like
Right.
it's true though, right?
Yes.
Like
We just talked about that at the beginning of the year this year with my class. I was like, if you don't try X, do you know if you like it or not? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, okay, this goes with everything.
right.
And then the last part that I'm thinking about here is like, they also have a really hard time with losing.
Mm-hmm.
Good God.
So like field day
Oof.
was such an amazing fun day when we were all kids
Yes.
and like wanted to have that competition. You guys lost, we won, or they beat us in that competition. Now field day is a nightmare. Like for a lot of
Do you
kids.
still have winning and losing?
No.
Oh, I was like, because ours.
I was
is
going to say
like,
they
right.
eliminated a lot
It's
of
They
it.
like-
eliminated
right.
it. It doesn't
We're
matter
gonna
which
run in this
team-
one 50-yard dash station. Then we're gonna go to some like scoop toss.
Right.
You know, like
and
it's all.
it's not necessarily, oh, we beat the red team. It's like, oh, we did it.
Everybody
Right.
did it and
Yeah.
got a ribbon and won.
But that's
And-
because they can't handle.
and you have to
losing.
have-
I mean, I know why they did it because it wasn't worth the
Right.
aggravation.
The
They-
screaming and the crying
Right.
and the throwing myself on the ground.
Right. And this, I mean, we all saw this at camp. We all worked at a camp. We were
Yep.
all directors at a camp. We all saw this when it was like color war
Because
week.
we did have winning and losing.
We did have winning and
We
losing.
absolutely did because that was important to us.
learn.
Public school setting.
And as like children need to learn how to win and lose properly and appropriately and respectfully. And when you don't have that in a setting, they have a really, really hard time with it.
Well, and it changed from being the kid who like melted down because they lost to like the kid who decided not to even start participating
Right.
because they
and
would lose.
Right. It brings it back to this apathy point of like,
Yes.
I think of early color wars in my camp director experience, like even before we were all working together, like literally 20 years ago, and how much excitement there was to like, again, the apathy of like, yeah, it's color war.
yeah.
Right.
And we know how much effort
Yes.
went
Good
into
Lord.
the tie dyeing and the dress up.
We
and the
were more
whatnot.
excited for color war week
Right.
than the kids were. And then we were like, well, there's a problem
There's
here.
a problem, right?
And yeah, there's a problem here.
And it was like the board. Like you can't sit and cheer on your team. Like your team is
Right.
doing the tug of
But
war
I need
right
water
now.
right now.
And
What do you
Right.
mean I
And
have
the
to cheer?
kids
I
were
need to go
just-
fill up my water bottle.
And it got so much worse. Like
So much
it was
worse.
it was always like, you're one or two and you're like,
Right.
yeah, Bobby's always like that and whatever. But then it was 40 kids.
Yeah.
Well, remember, we had to retrain the counselors to be like, you cannot let them leave during this time because all these
Yeah.
kids wanted to flood out and they were all like leaving the cheering of like tug of war is going on and they can't cheer. They're all leaving.
And
And
then
we're
all you
like,
hear-
they have to stay.
All you hear is just
Right.
woo, because it's one child just left behind being
It's
like,
so
yeah,
quiet during the
team."
or
tug
we
of
hear
war.
only the counselors cheering
Yeah.
and the kids were silent. Like,
It was such a change. From
Well, and
like,
eventually our counselors, who were like 15, they're like from the same
right.
generation, also of like, yeah, well, they wanted this, or they said they needed water, like it.
So I just brought them.
Yeah,
and that's
like-
that was more important than what we were doing.
So it feels like there's like this layer to the apathy of like connection and community losing their value
Yeah.
to kids that in some ways is like spurring on a bit of this apathetic attitude.
Mhm.
I don't know, like that wasn't really something I had thought about. I just
No.
was kind of like, like I always just attribute it to technology, right? It's like I don't know if that's like the easiest thing to blame for like the instant gratification they get from that,
Right.
the swiping, the quick format videos, like that's literally like retraining people's brains to
Yeah.
like be this way. But I don't know, like we said 2020 was the shift for me was happening
before.
I think it
Before
started
that,
earlier.
Yeah.
I think
it just
2020 was like a
exacerbated it.
bigger
Yeah.
marker,
Yeah.
just because
And maybe that's this layer
The
of
world shut
community
down,
and
but-
connection that like also feeds into like if the culture is like to be excited about like then you're more apt to be versus now the culture is like to be apathetic.
Right.
yeah.
And we have some research to back you up.
I was going to
Oh,
say,
good.
so like
Love research.
in our personal experiences, school, camp, life, kids are getting more apathetic as a group. So let's kind of dive into some
So
research that's
learning
been
and
done.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So I know there was one study by Cheon and Reeves in 2015, which again is technically
right.
before all of this started. And they kind of compiled in a meta-analysis all this research and actually did find that students' apathy towards learning tasks and education in general seemed to be an increasingly recognized phenomenon. So again, we're talking 2015, 5 years before pandemic.
Yep.
This stuff was already starting to take place. And that it was being recognized as like some shift is happening.
Yeah.
And what in the world is going on? In that study, they also found that many students reported feeling that school no longer really mattered or that school was like just for passing time. Like I'm here because I
Woof.
have to be.
God, woof.
And that was, it's a rough sentence. It's a rough sentence to read. Like,
And I see that even in like and I always say this, but like there will be an episode on this at some point. I see that in the way kids like dress to come to school, right? Just like that
especially
attitude of
the older
apathy
kids.
or like
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
passing time.
I just rolled out of bed. What else?
like- It's like one thing to like be comfortable, and it's another to be like in your like full complete pajamas.
Yes.
Like barely even like attempted to like
Get ready for the day.
get ready for the day,
Yeah.
right? To like prepare yourself for being at school and doing the job of learning
I was going to say, just like being in public.
in
but-
public. Yeah, just in public.
But I mean, to Erin's point, I read an article by Lillard and Peterson that was from 2011, so even further
earlier.
back. And they were studying preschoolers who watched fast-paced,
Yeah.
short-form videos.
Reels.
Sound familiar? And their findings were that it just trashed their executive functioning.
That's how they wrote it in their report, right?
Yes,
The
very
official
We'll
scientific
put
language
a
of
link
trash.
to the study on the blog, but
trashed.
just look for that part.
No, it trashed their executive functioning. My words. And it was across like multiple tests. It wasn't just in one area, but it was in their focus, their ability to follow directions and to self-regulate. It hurt their working memory, their self-regulation, their ability to delay gratification.
Yep.
Like the things that we're seeing in real time in classrooms at camps.
And this
In
is right
general,
in 2011.
How many
The
fast-paced
increase
short
of
form
that-
videos were in 2011
Right.
compared to 2020?
It's got to be
Right.
like at least 100-fold now, right?
Yes, at least. And I hear us saying this, and I'm just thinking of like the old timer, like, well, back in my day, and I don't want to be
The old biddies.
I'm guilty of that in this
But, like,
instance.
Clearly, there's research here saying that like the newer dominant social media forms are affecting kids and how they're presenting to the world. So it leads to our next how do we address this in classrooms? How can we, boots on the ground, do something about it? And I think our first step is we have to stop rewarding things with prizes and pencils and candy and whatever all of the time. I'm not saying you can't have rewards. Obviously you should. We just need to space them out more, have them be more meaningful and given for meaningful things. Participating in the mystery scavenger hunt, that should have been the reward.
Right.
Doing the thing, that's fun. Let's stop pretending it's not fun, everybody.
Not you buying them a pencil afterwards that says, I'm a crime solver.
Right.
But
that they're apathetic towards anyway.
sure, but then them helping a friend, reward. I hear ya.
Right.
I see ya. Because we need to build students with delayed gratification. We need to give them that space to just feel their own progress and really go back to being intrinsically motivated in any way at all.
And we know that this is a part of some school systems. You give out tickets, you give out slips, they eventually lead to something
Right.
bigger.
PBIS is
Right.
big
PBIS is
now.
a thing. It's all over. But I think what you're saying, Sarah, is it's like in the moment. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if things are building up and leading to something bigger eventually, that's still some form
That's
of
delayed,
delayed
yeah.
gratification.
You have to wait.
Right. You
Even
do
if
have to
it's
still
like
wait.
the store opens on Friday and you have to build up your
Right.
classroom dollars until then, like that's
Right.
still building up.
Or there's auctions, and also sometimes things are random, which is kind of nice because like sometimes you just don't get picked. Like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you have to
And you don't know when it's coming, and that's
Right.
nice too.
Right. And in the classroom setting, you have to explicitly teach these things. You have to explicitly teach, like, this is what engagement looks like. This is how you talk to a friend about their interest. Because guess what? The kids don't have that. They need to be taught these things.
And they also have to be taught that like there's value in the effort they're putting in. Like there's
Yes.
value in not just what they're producing. Like they need to be explicitly taught that. There was value in you just trying this. Like,
Yes.
you taking a shot at this, you taking a risk. And like that's how self-efficacy builds. That's how intrinsic motivation builds.
Right.
Is you see value in your effort, not just in the end product.
Right.
Like
In the study that Erin was talking about that I also read, it showed some of this was alleviated with providing choices and the teaching of perspective taking, meaning making, and the initiative taking
You got it.
helped improve this. Helped improve some of this in the classroom because, again, they don't know how to do this on
Right.
their own. So they need the help of the teacher to be able to do this.
Which is really sad.
It is sad, but they also need to be taught how to be curious again. Like,
Yes. Oh my God.
Stop giving them immediate answers. Like, let them sit in ambiguity, and they will be uncomfortable.
But am I
And
right?
you will be
But am I right?
uncomfortable.
Is my answer right?
Or
You
you
tell
have those
me,
kids,
is
right?
you'll be like, go back and try, and they'll just stand there, wait for you. I'm like, nope, turn around, go sit, go
And
try
I
it
think
again.
there's this like wild notion that like because we live in like the information age and everyone has a computer in their pocket that like you don't need knowledge anymore because like you can Google it. And like that's not actually true.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like there's like again increasing research around this that like in order to like actually like solve bigger problems, you need to have a knowledge base that you're working from. Right? It would be like in math world where people like threw out fact practice altogether because they're like kids just need a conceptual understanding of multiplication. They don't need their facts because like they can get them really quickly. But without your facts, your like ability, right, in this case math facts, but really pick a subject, your
Sure.
ability to like engage more deeply
Right.
goes down. So if you don't have like the facts of history, right, then like your ability to like engage in debate on a topic like is, you know, and then problem solve creatively and think of bigger things, like it goes down. And so I think something else we need to like teach is like a kind of like about how like this idea that just because we have more information available to us than anyone ever before in history does not mean that we don't need to learn anything.
Well, I mean, it also comes back to that, like, how do you know what to Google
Right.
right.
about anything?
Sure.
Like, you have to start with, like, how does Google work? Like, because I never, like, learned what I need to actually look for.
Right.
If you think about it, like, what you put in is helping you get the answers that you need, that you want in that moment. But if you don't know how to start that, which comes from a deep knowledge base,
Right.
then, like, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is all well and good. I think from like, right? Sorry. Like, it's great. One more thing added to our plate.
Yep.
Right.
I mean,
Brianna, thank you. The study confirmed we need to now teach all of these other skills on top of everything we're already teaching. Right.
you've got the time for that.
Absolutely.
Everyone's got the time.
We all have the time to now teach children how to like
Be children.
be engaged and not need to be rewarded
Curious and-
constantly.
yeah.
Right. Okay. We just add that right on in. Right. But like meanwhile, right? Because now this is like another thing that has to build across years and we need to do for kids. Like meanwhile, like you still have to stand up and teach your class every day. And again, there is nothing more draining than putting all the effort in and getting nothing back. There's this political cartoon, if you will, that has stuck with me as a teacher, and it's a teacher as a candle,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
and it's like, you know, it literally consumes itself to like
Light the others.
light others, right? And like there is no building that like back, like it
Once it's gone, it's gone.
once it's gone, it's gone, right? And the things that used to maybe like at least bolster it are gone. So as you know, awful as this sounds, I would say to
Come on, Joe, bring us down.
Right, bring everybody down. Like, I think right now, like, you have to lower your expectations. And you have to be okay with, maybe I am going to still do this lesson because I love it and it brings me joy. And not do it because you're for the payoff of the kids loving it.
Right.
Like, if you're expecting them to like be super enthusiastic and go home and tell their families about it, and that doesn't happen, you're really sad.
Yeah.
But if you lower your expectation and you're saying like, I'm doing this because I know it's fun, and maybe they don't appreciate it now, but like, this is the kind of lesson they might remember from third grade when they're, 25 years old, right? Then you've lowered your expectation a little bit about not, like what you're expecting them to do in terms of like work or anything like that.
No, but the reaction.
But you're for the reaction, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not okay with that, right? Then maybe you have to ask yourself, right?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Do I go above and beyond because it is, as we said, more draining to go above and beyond and not get it back than it is to maybe shoot a little lower, right? Do something not quite as involved or as fun, but then you're not nearly as upset when
You're not as let down.
when you don't get
Yeah.
a great reaction. Maybe until you've done more explicit teaching of how to be more engaged.
And Joe brought us real down, but it is the reality of the situation here. And it's really unfortunate because we want to have it differently. We want it to be different. And we put all that effort in for those reasons. But it is the reality of the situation.
I didn't go into the college debt that I went into and decide to take a low-paying teaching job to not,
And I think there's an element of this that's shifting in society. I think society is noticing this outside of just education. And I think there are some shifts, like, I don't know, for instance, a lot of districts or states are starting to like ban cell phones in school, ban short form things. Like things are starting to move a little bit, but I think people are doing that because they recognize the same thing that teachers have been seeing for maybe perhaps longer than the rest of society because we're with kids all day. But there is something to be said for that. And maybe, if you keep teaching that lesson with a little lower expectations, like maybe it'll come back around eventually, perhaps.
Maybe the pendulum will swing the other way at some point.
I mean, just to bring us in, this is such a bummer. But I'm going to speak directly to all the teachers who might be watching out there. This is not a classroom problem. You cannot solve this alone. You cannot solve this with your team. You cannot solve this at your school. This is a societal issue. There are obviously, as we said, some things we can do to like help. And it helps. But like, you can't take on solving apathy of humanity. Just acknowledge that in yourself, because when you get into it and you start thinking about it so hard, it's such a downer.
So if you take anything away from this, know that you are not
You're
alone.
not alone.
You're not crazy. Like this is it's a real thing. It's really happening, and
And kids these days,
We're all in this together.
we all know.
All right. Well, thank you for popping by Meaningfield today. Remember, we're here for you anytime. Our door is always open. You can visit our website at getmeaningfield.com for ideas and inspiration to bring to your classroom.
Follow us at Get Meaningfield on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads, and Just Meaningfield on Facebook.
You can share your own thoughts on this apathy, or don't, whatever works for you. I mean, if you're, looking through the videos or not, by commenting on any of our posts on social media this week. Are super short, so keep your attention going quick. Or finding the full length. Full length over on YouTube.
And you can send us your own pops for us to discuss with a DM or at getmeaningfueled@gmail.com.